This is the local and national news from Fabulous 103 FM, and it would be fabulous if you subscribed. It's easy. Click the subscribe button, and at the same time, click the like button too. Thailand, Myanmar and Laos are considering a move that would see the three nations work together to reduce the smog that's now blighting the region. Premiers of all three held a virtual meeting that's intended to be the start of a joint operation that would include new laws that could reduce the vile air that's polluting cities, and the issue is tabled for a discussion at the 42nd ASEAN Summit, hosted in Indonesia next month. The Thai Army is still seeking a sergeant who worked in the transport office, but according to sources, used his nurse wife's employment involving health apps to glean the personal details of some 55 million Thais before threatening to put that on the net unless he was compensated. The state blocked all his website access. He pulled the threat, but then seems to have gone AWOL, facing arrest and discipline. It's presumed that others were involved in the scam and a full investigation is underway. The data was never released, but allegedly contained names, addresses, birth dates, ID card numbers and phone numbers. Hot here? Well, you bet, as the Met Office recorded real field levels of over 54 in Krabi and 50 in the capital on Sunday. Our own province of Chonburi hit 42, and without any rain worth reporting on, the country remains tinder dry. However, storms were predicted for the northern regions that may just reach us too. A phone app which reveals the real details of otherwise anonymous callers on mobile phones has become increasingly popular lately with locals, following an increase in scam calls. Who's Call, that's WHOSCALL, claims that up to 70% of text messages received by locals are spam or scam. Worse, actual calls pretending to be bank, government and more. The app instead tells the phone owner who's really calling. In Surat Thani, the killing of 4 locals has taken a new twist, as police now believe that a local cop, along with a few pals, went to the home and killed the 4, including a woman, all after the falling out over the dead family refusing to acknowledge him as their new son-in-law. It seems he and his beau divorced their relevant spouses last year and got together. But her family weren't too keen on him. No word on his wife's response to the removal of her family from their mortal coil. But the gunmen remain on the run, except for one who was killed in gunfire returned by the woman's family once they realised they were under attack. Meanwhile at home, and amid claims that so-called call girl rescue charities along with Bangkok authorities had saved a teenage girl from the sins of Soi 6 nightlife, well, what wasn't mentioned, according to numerous local reports, is that the errant teen was back on the streets as a freelance hooker within hours, this of her own volition. Visiting police in the bar line Soi last week checked for IDs and proof of age of all those working there, with the concern that some elder teenagers might just turn to working on the streets during the school and university holidays. All passed muster, but one manager, cashier and crew of girls were taken away for questioning. It turns out that whilst all were of legal age, it's believed that back in November last year, the same 17-year-old had wheedled her way into working using a borrowed ID card. Thai staff designated to confirm ages had obviously dropped the ball, but as it's becoming clearer that the girl was determined to work, that the 17-year-old isn't a novice and no one can explain how or why the case, if there is one, took so long to process. It's believed that a stooge had reported to the authorities that the girl had told him that she was 17 back in November. Bangkok authorities finally released the cashier and manager on bail. The working staff had all been released en masse much earlier, after each proved that they were of legal working age. Now it's likely that the system currently in use for bars in Bangkok will go into effect here too, whereby ID cards of all working in bars and clubs have to be copied and registered with the police within days of employment. That at least would protect barkeepers and separate them from those who either choose to employ illegally or are duped into it. A family of tourists have complained that when using a taxi app to get transport, their driver arrived in a car reeking of ganja. The driver refused to leave them as they refused to get in. It took some while, but they found alternative transport, and the issue remains that there's currently no law in Thailand that provides testing for marijuana use or bans the driving of a vehicle when high. 63 Chinese Christians discovered in the city a week ago without valid visas, who complained that return to their home country would lead to persecution, have, according to reports, been allowed entry into the US as refugees. A concerned citizen reported them. Authorities had to process them, but showed considerable empathy for their plight. And it appears a happy ending for all during the most important of Christian events, Easter. And with the Met Office promising highs today of 33, the real feel of 40, dropping down to 28 tonight, there are storms around, and we're told there's a chance of rain at any time. Local and national news today from Fabulous 103 FM and Fabulous Pattaya Media Group. And to get a notification every time we release another bulletin or program, like and subscribe to our channel, Fabulous Pattaya Media Group, by using the link below.